Hello, everybody. Today we have with us a great guest, very timely, Bob Yeager, who is the Chief District Engineer for KYTC, the Transportation Cabinet in Kentucky, here in District 6. Bob, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
You bet. You've been with the cabinet a long time, so give us a little bit of an update of your background and where you've served in the past.
Well, I like to tell people that this is my 12th governor that I've been since I've been working for the cabinet. I started in 1971 on the scholarship program, and very fortunate for the opportunity to go to school at the University of Kentucky. Graduated in December of '74. Started full time here in the district office, which is where my whole career has been, in January of 1975. So just a few years since here. In that time, I was a maintenance engineer. I was the operations branch manager for operations, branch manager for planning, and also the branch manager for project development. So I had a very varied background. So, and it posed me very well when I took over the job as chief to have such a good background in that. I've been a chief district engineer for a little over 4 years now, and it's been very exciting to say the least.
Well, and you do an excellent job of it. And your exposure to all those areas has probably made you as, basically as qualified as anybody to ever sit in that job. And I know you work well with us and all the counties up here. Lots to talk about. And the first one on people's minds is probably Brent Spence, but we're going to cover that late at the end, if you don't mind. Let's talk about a couple of these big projects that you've got on your plate, in addition to basically keeping these roads safe, all the state roads safe and passable. Let's talk about 536. We got great news, state and county partnership to get a build grant. Maybe talk about that project and what 536 means to the district.
The 536 corridor has been something we've been studying for a long time. It was kind of framed as a loop to connect the three counties together. So when it's complete, Boone, Kenton, and Campbell County will have a sort of a loop that's outside of 275 that will allow people to get from east to west. We have a lot of great north-south connections. I-75, US 27, 25, 17. All those roads go pretty much north-south. So having an east-west connection is imperative to the development and the economy of this region. We started this a number of years ago. We've had a few pieces built. The next piece we just opened a section in Boone County from Union over to I-75. The work at the interchange in Boone County at Mount Zion is being reconstructed as we speak. And then that next section from the interchange over to Kentucky 1303 is the section that you just mentioned that we got a build grant for. So that expedites that work so that we can get that done. In addition to that, we have the other sections from 1303 over to Kentucky 17. We have those sections in the plan as well. So when all's said and done over the next few years, we'll have a great connection from all the way from Kentucky 17 into Union.
And for those who don't know what build grants are, maybe speak to that and the fact that these are not state dollars; these are actually going after federal dollars.
That's correct. We have state funds. We'll have state funds in these projects, of course, and we got some local funds as well. We had some people put up some match money for that, but the build grant is outside our normal federal allocation, and so this money is in addition to, can only be used for that purpose. So it's not like we can bait and switch. We can't ask for the money and then use it somewhere else. And again, the county got the grant, so that even makes it even better. That we're not doing this on our own. That we have this great partnership with Kenton County to help build the roads, because I think everybody benefits when we do these types of projects.
And I guess the other thing that people maybe not understand, and it's taken me a while to figure this out too, is that once you get the road started, the key to it is that that's the intention by the state and the feds and local, of course, is to finish it, right? So you don't want to, that it gives us a hopefully the next opportunity for us to go get some of these additional grants that help subsidize and support the work that the state's already investing in along with the locals.
That's correct. And projects like this, a 536 corridor project is almost always broken into small parts. If I can use as an example, Kentucky 237 over in Boone County. That's a corridor from 42 over to 18. That was built in 3 sections. The middle section is now being constructed as we speak. And so each of these major projects, because it's difficult to get $40 or $50 million in one pop, so you break that into $10 million sections. And that's what we're doing with this section that you've got the grant for. We're building that next piece.
Well, there are lots of other projects coming online for Kenton County. One that's in design is the 4th Street Bridge in Covington connecting Newport. You want to speak to that as well?
That's a great opportunity for us to tie the two cities together with the things that are going on in Covington, with the IRS moving out and their development plans, and everything that's going on in Newport with the levee and those kinds of things. We've of course we just completed the Kentucky 9 over in Newport. So having this connection into that to be able to go back for the local economies, I think will be a great benefit. The real interesting parts of that is that we'll have multi-use paths or sidewalk and bike facilities on there. That's part of the overall community plans to tie the riverfronts in. So, and of course they have to cross the Licking River. So this will be their main thoroughfare to be able to get from Covington into Newport by way of bike or by walking.
And again, there's so many projects, both in design and construction, you've got going on. Just as a real quick note, how many people roughly, Bob, does the district employ overall?
We have about 240 employees right now. Most of those are on our maintenance crews. And of course, we have 11 counties. So, and those maintenance crews usually average around 10 people each. So that's about half. We have 5 construction crews spread out across the district that oversee our construction operations. We have about 25 people on our project development team, and those are the people who do the planning, the design, right-of-way acquisition, utility coordination. And then, of course, we have an administrative staff, about 15 people who behind the scenes who don't get much recognition a lot of times, unless someone doesn't get paid and then they hear about it. But they do a great job as well, making sure that everything goes right. The 2 things that we really try to hone in on all the time is to make sure that our employees get paid, and second, and just as important, that all of our vendors get paid. We like to think that we can get all turned around within our 30 days.
Great point. So we obviously have been talking about these projects that requires dollars. One of your biggest funding sources for construction and maintenance is through the gas tax that goes through Frankfort and funds your department. I know that that's been flat for a long time, and there's talk of changing that. Without getting into the political side of it, what was the change a few years ago? How did that impact your budget and what you saw in terms of the things you could do?
Well, again, it's a story we could spend hours on. But the federal tax, the 18 cents, has been like that since the early 90s, and that has not changed. So over half of our income comes from federal funds. The other half comes from our usage fee, which is collected as a gasoline tax. And that fee, at one point, before 2015, was at 32 cents. And that was dropped to 26 cents. And that loss of 6 cents, we felt that pain for that whole time. So we're right now collecting about 26 cents for the user fee for the gasoline on cars, on automobiles. The fuel tax for truckers is substantially different. So we have to remember that they pay, even though there's about 17% trucks on the road. Even though there's less trucks, they pay a pretty fair share of the burden of the new roads. When we collect all this money, we have to prioritize that, and that's done on a statewide basis. And then we look at that based on need. Northern Kentucky for the last few years has been getting, I think, a pretty fair share. But again, our economy is booming. The most recently, though, with the stay-at-home request and all of those things, the gasoline usage has been down, and therefore our revenue is down as well. It's bounced back a little bit, but we're not fully recovered from that yet. And we won't recover those miles that weren't driven in March, April, May, and June. We just won't recover that. People won't make up those trips, so to speak.
Right. Great point. Well, let's jump to Brent Spence. Walk us through the first moment you got the call and found out about this. Take us inside your mind as to what's been going on over the past couple of weeks as well.
That's not the call you ever want to get, obviously, with the Brent Spence being the most important infrastructure project, portion of our infrastructure that we have. This bridge has been there a long time, and it's a substantially it's a substantial bridge, and it's in really good shape. It really is. The damage that was done to the bridge due to the fire caused us some concern early on. We had a number of inspectors who went out there, over 20 inspectors so we could get this done efficiently and quickly. We realize that every day we keep that closed, there's millions of dollars of revenue that's being transferred somewhere else. This bridge is critical to the national economy, and so everybody that was involved, from the Secretary of Transportation and including the governor, started making calls. We got the federal highways on board very often. They wrote us a check early on to get us started so we could do the things we needed to do. We went through a number of procedures to get a contractor on board who was qualified to do the work, and we've started that work. We're about just a little over 3 weeks in now, and our goal is to have it open by December 23rd. So I think that's a great tenement to everybody that's worked on this, to think that within 6 weeks we could go from the fire to the opening. There are certain things about this project that make it unique, and certain things that I guess help to streamline it. Number one, the contractor, the Covington, is not responsible for traffic control, because the traffic control was started, as soon as the fire started. We had to start rerouting traffic, so we took that burden upon ourselves. So KYTC is basically the contractor handling that, with some help from some other people who are involved in helping us with traffic control. We also have a public relations piece, and they're not responsible for that either. So their concentration is to get the bridge open, and our concentration is to make sure that they have everything they need and that we stay out of their way. There are some interesting things that we're doing. One person asked me, more than one person asked me, why don't we paint the bridge while we've got it closed? And of course, the bridge painting is a tremendous undertaking, and our main focus right now is to get the bridge open and to not put any impediments in the way. Ordering the paint and sandblasting and all that stuff would take months and not weeks like we're accustomed to. So that's all planned for next year. I think also we are doing some work while we have lanes closed. If you looked out your window, you could see the paving going on the part that we have closed. That part was deferred. We were able to get a special contract to get that done. And again, we saved a lot of money because there's no traffic control. Up in this area, traffic control can be as much as the contract cost itself, because of when we work on the traffic. So having it closed and taking advantage of that has been a real bonus for us.
And so when you spoke to the fact that obviously this is a state project, you're the chief guy up here from the transportation cabinet, but the secretary came up, the governor's been involved, and some people were surprised to know that there was an actual bid. There were a couple of prices that were proposed or given to the state that allowed for a decision point to be made, which was, I think, probably saved the state money, which is great, still while getting your calendar met.
Yes, that's true. We sent out invitations to a number of qualified bidders. We had three interested bidders, and we received 2 bids, and we accepted the best bid. And so there was a competition. It was done in a short period of time, and you have to imagine that those companies that were asked to put a bid together in a weekend and get their information, it's outstanding. But again, well qualified bidders, people who are used to this and understand the necessity of getting this road back open.
And we were able to see the secretary, your team, right on the spot. In addition to the public safety people that just did a phenomenal job. Between now and the opening, are contractors? Is it a roughly 24-hour project? Are they working as weather allows? And I'm sure there's things of curing concrete and getting steel and whatever. Those kind of things have to be addressed. So you may not see somebody on the site maybe every moment of every day, but
obviously the schedule allows for time when they are not working, when we have to do certain things. There's certain things you can't do, but right now they're working. There are things they can do around the clock, and they'll be doing that. What we have in advance of right now is certainly we have to finish putting in all the bolts, all the steel work, all the different things to support the decking, which will get poured. And then we have to realize that the concrete has to have a time to cure, before you can put traffic back on it. That's generally at least a week. Again, so the activities that we see now going on, there's still a flurry of activities going on today that you may not see anything, and you wonder why we don't have it open. But again, patience is a big thing. We're doing everything according to the book, standard specifications, and we're making sure we're doing it right the first time.
And we're going to post the website there below you on where that people can go to get real-time updates on the bridge. In addition to that, Bob, is there anything in terms of this project or generally about your work and through the years that you wish that the public would just be able to understand or know, that you think, man, I just, people just are not aware of this specific item?
I think for the most part, the public's been fairly patient with us. I think we hope that we give you the information that you need. And if you've got a question, ask us. We would rather you hear it from us than to pass something along saying, I don't know why they're doing it this way. And we certainly, there may be a time that we didn't think of what you thought about. So we're certainly open to those suggestions as well. The patience is a big thing. I think using ways, if you're going to use those kinds of things, to look and see where the patterns are, where the traffic is, and use that. With us being between the airport and downtown Cincinnati, I know the airport has posted a lot of things about using and making sure that you give yourself ample time to get somewhere. The best advice, as I do with snow and ice, is that if you don't have to go somewhere, then don't. Don't just go out to ride around and do things. It doesn't help us, and certainly doesn't help you. But again, I found the public to be very cooperative. I think we've gotten some good suggestions. We looked at those things, and we're constantly monitoring the traffic situation and making adjustments as we deem necessary. So I think I think it's been a good thing. I don't want to forget to mention that I have to thank you and your emergency staff for allowing us to move into your building. If I'd have known that we were going to use the building as much as we did, I wouldn't have given you such a hard time about parking under our bridge.
Well, we're all here to work together, and it's very kind of you. We got good people there, Steve Hensley in particular and his team. To wrap up a comment, one thing, and this is really a question that I get all the time, Bob, and I maybe should have asked this earlier, but is the question of trucks. We know the accident, at least to some degree, of what occurred, but in general, that corridor, maybe update us on how that looks to you and to maybe law enforcement in terms of trucks needing to get through there. And of course, we want them to stay out of the city of Covington unless they've got a critical delivery and follow the signage, et cetera. But speak to that a little bit.
Okay, the interstates were kind of built for trucks. I mean, we have 12-foot lanes, and we wouldn't need 12-foot lanes if it weren't for trucks. And trucks, as I mentioned earlier, pay a pretty fair share of the work that goes on. The pavement's thicker, the things are there for them. We do try to deter trucks from going into urban areas if we can, but just rerouting them from I-75 to I-471, they're going through cities over there as well. And if you go around the belt now, even as well developed as the loop is, there's a number of communities that are along the 275 route. So truckers are basically going to go from point A to point B at their most efficient way. If traffic is backed up on I-75, they'll find a different way. Most of the times they don't want to travel through communities because of the traffic signal. They'd like to be free flow. And I've seen some wait on the interstate an hour or so before they'll reroute and go on our local road. This is a little unusual because we're looking at 160,000 cars, and they can't wait till we finish. They're not going to wait out on 75 until December 23rd. So they have to get to where they need to go. We do make sure that the overweight, oversized, those types of things, those types of loads all have the proper credentials to use that. And I'm not sure what gets into the mind of a driver when they hit a detour. This particular detour is well documented now, and everybody in the country should know that the Brent Spence is closed. There's been enough publicity about it. So I think we would hope that truckers will do the same thing. It's just hard to do that because, like us talking here, we'll get the community to watch this, but we won't get the people from Michigan going to Florida.
Yeah, good point. Well, and I was also informed the other day that whatever the exact number is, roughly 75–80% of the trucks, unfortunately, have deliveries within the loop or originating from inside the loop. And even if that's half of them, how do you decide that, and how do your police officers, et cetera, manage that traffic? It's a tough one, but and I know it's an ongoing challenge and good discussion for the community moving forward, but I know you have to deal with it on a daily basis. So, right. Well, Bob, hey, thanks so much for your time, and kudos to your team, the engineers, your contractors, your consultants, And I know that this is a trying time, but we really do appreciate your care and concern and work on this in this effort in the community.
Right. And Kenton County's been a great partner in all of this. So thank you.
You bet. Have a good day.
Thank you.